here, and we are continuing our author read aloud of Xavie of Shamain. We're diving into part 14, covering chapter 20. If you're new here and want to stay updated on my writing journey, consider joining my newsletter, the Boreas brief, at the link in the description. Last time, Yelna and Xavie found themselves with some resistance. Let's see how they deal with it this time. Here is part 14. Chapter 20. All of Boreas is connected via one major road. This road circles the anvil, the continental sea, separating the northern continent from the southern continent. It is called the Agility Course and is commonly referred to as a path. Nothing could be more misleading, as this route connects all the major cities, all provinces, all regions, all folks, all tribes, all races. It is a major road, the major road on Boreas. The Agility Course crosses the continental sea, separating the northern continent from the southern continent at 3 locations. In the far west, from Terrace to Berkeley Harbor, in the not so far east, from Baldor to Timberley, and finally the far east, from Drop City to Goldbridge. Encyclopedia Galactica, 9th August 23, 5th Epoch. Xavie. One last look on Shamain, the village, the community, the tribe I called home for all my life. I know that this small hill in the road is the last place I can see Shamain from, so I turn and drink in the view. Shamain, with its white houses, few raw stone walls and blue accents. Shamain, with its flat roofs and occasional larger house towards the center. Shamain, with the town square clearly identifiable by the gap in the roofs even from here. Shamain. In the middle, the lowest part of a very wide, shallow, almost perfectly round basin. Shamain, a stark contrast to the vegetation as far as one can see. There are very few trees. Only to the north, visible as a dark line against the horizon, are there trees in the channel. Behind them, a backdrop of the floating islands of Arian, mostly invisible because of the haze the cascading waters generate. But we seldom go there. Closer to Shamain, it is mostly grasses and shrubbery. At the height of summer, everything dries out and takes on different shades of brown. And then there are the orchards and community vegetable gardens around the town, splatters of color in the otherwise monochromatic picture. It will be some time before I return here, if ever. The goodbyes were gruesome. Yolande was, surprisingly, one of the least difficult to say my goodbye to. She knew that sooner or later she needed to let me go. She erased me for this, to be my own master. This was simply the moment it became the new reality. And she has plans to move to unrestricted postmaster, traveling all over Boreas. Evanor has been staying somewhere, looked after by someone else for the last several months already, so it won't matter for her. As vicious as it sounds, it is true. The goodbye from Evanor was a completely different story. There was a lot of screaming and cursing 2 days ago. She hurled some names my way that made me want to wash out her mouth with soap. Then she bolted, and I have not seen her since. She's the only one whose goodbye I wish had gone differently. I regret not having a chance to explain it better to her, to make her understand, hopefully. I did not get the chance. Yelna. A deep sigh escapes me. Last night we created an evening for a special occasion in our own way. We organized a picnic right around sunset on a hill not far out of Shamain, our hill. It was intimate, only us, cocooned around each other bodily and mentally, mind to mind. There was an intensity and desperation to the time, enjoying each other, soaking ourselves in the other, drowning in the feeling, drinking in the experience. There were others in the last few days, but none as important, as close to my heart as these 3. 3 goodbyes, each very different, but in one regard. I had no control over anything. One last look at Shamain starting to stir in the sunrise. Then I turn. I left an hour before sunrise, earlier than I announced. I figured I might as well get an early start on my trip and avoid any more encounters. Nothing to look forward to in the town, the tribe I grew up in. Is this bitterness? I guess so. It is out of my control. It does not matter what I want in this moment, that I'd prefer this to have gone differently. What is done is done. I am on my way. It is 40 days to my destination in the Smoky Mountains, close to 2,000 kilometers. I need to average a bit more than 50 kilometers a day. If I'm lucky, I might catch a ride on a cart or 2. But I can't and won't rely on that. This is my trip, the trip that any youngster joining the Guard makes to the Academe. I can't control any of the things that might happen along the road. But I can control how I react to it. I can control my pace. And I damn well can control if this is going to be a miserable fucking affair or a pleasant adventure, discovering new lands and getting to know new people along the way. The latter is what I choose, my control. My first station is in Kitat. In 4 days, all the youngsters from this region will converge there at the Elder House to then travel together or in groups to the Smoky Mountains. It's about 200 kilometers away, give or take a few. This is a good test for my pace, for getting this trip under control. To take my control back. I travel light, only the bare necessities. I don't need luxury or comfort. I don't want it. I did not bring anything sentimental, not even the stuff Yelna gifted me. All these things are packed away in a box that I left with Yelland. I reasoned that I don't know what I can bring and keep in the Academe. I don't want to abandon any of these items. Yes, technically we are allowed to keep personal, sentimental items. Does this include weapons? What is excluded? I don't know, so I leave it in Shamain. One day I will go back and get it. One day. I can't think about it or I'll turn around and go back to Yelna. Today I want to get away. Need to get away. At least 50 kilometers. I'd like it to be more. I'd like to be in Kitat in 3 days. But I don't think I'll manage that. So arriving in the middle of the 4th day is what I settle on. I want to get used to the pace. I want to build some reserve. Shit is going to go sideways. When has it not in the last half year? It is not a question of if, but more a question of when and how much. And I'm done yielding to it. I'll have a reserve to deal with it and spit it in the face. My rules, my control. The first night, my thighs and even more so, my knees and calves are killing me. I've been running since forever, but walking these long distances with a pack even as light as mine is a punishing workout for the first few days. I estimate I covered about 60 kilometers today. That is very good. Less than I hoped, more than I expected. We're good. As it's fairly warm, I forego setting up my shelter. The next morning, I know not setting up the shelter was a mistake. For one, my rest was not restful, and secondly, the mosquitoes in this area eat one alive. Shelter it is from now on. Lesson learned. I'd rather set up shelter 10 times when I don't need to than not once when I need it. The farther I progress to the south towards Khitat, the drier, the more barren the land gets. While we have dry summers in Shamain, Khitat sees only a fraction of the precipitation Shamain does over the year. Naturally, the land is much drier. The area I'm traveling through is very arid but requires irrigation to make use of it. While this has been done in the past for millennia, the Boreas of today does not require these areas to produce grain. The overall population, now much smaller than what it used to be, can easily be fed with the farming areas that do not require these kinds of interventions to the balance of nature. The land is mainly reclaimed by grasses, sand-colored or brown this time of the year. They sing and wave in the wind, an endless sea of dried grass stalks with a height to about mid-thigh, dancing and faintly whistling their tune, telling their story. Only the occasional tree about, unless there is a trickle of water flowing somewhere. Then there is a row of trees and hardy shrubs following the bed of the stream, creek, trickle, whatever water there is. The road is well maintained, like all roads and paths on Boreas. At adequate intervals, wells are in place, so no traveler runs out of water. There are not many on the road, only the ones who have to be. No leisure travel. It is not the time of the year to travel. It's August, about as relentless of a sun as you can get in this area. It is hot, sweaty work to move about. You're far better off in the late spring in these areas if you're interested in greenlands, or in late fall if you want to experience these lands dry and brown. The landscape is changing slowly but steadily. With every hour, every day, it becomes a bit more unforgiving, more of a challenge to keep moving, especially through the height of the afternoon sun. This has me thinking and calculating. I should be able to start very early, before sunrise, to use the cooler time at the end of the night, travel to about midday and then take a 2 or 3 hour break. After, I could then travel longer into the evening, making use of the cooler temperatures. It is ill-advised to travel during the night, so that is not a viable option, but avoiding the highest temperature hours in the day should be doable. It should give enough time. It's an experiment I want to do to see if it's a viable option for a trip through the hot and dry parts, but only after Khitat. I have only a few days to reach Khitat and there is a time slot I need to be there, as all the youngsters from this area en route to the Academe will converge at the Elder House at that time. I make it to Khitat shortly after lunch on the 4th day, 200 kilometers down, around 1800 to go. While it is tempting to explore Khitat with the time I have, I opt for checking my equipment and getting it repaired if necessary. I also do a thorough cleaning of everything, replenishing and complementing what I need. The next big stop is in Val d'Or, which is just past the halfway point of the remaining distance. Around mid-afternoon, a female, also on the way to the Academe, Rion, arrives. She's tall, also of the Eastern race, with a hardness about her that tells she has seen tests in her life. It also makes her attractive in her own way, and careful, watchful. It takes me longer than I anticipated to check my equipment, or perhaps I unconsciously spent more time with it than necessary. After I'm satisfied, I seek out one of the elders and ask how many of us youngsters en route to the Academe they expect. Only 2 candidates, he says. He answers my question about where we will find meals by telling me that we will be hosted in the Elder House. Yes, it is only 2 of us, but this is how it is, no matter. We will also get our supplies and breakfast the next morning. I take this information back to Rion and then suggest How about we explore a bit? We have around 2 hours until dinner time. I'd suggest we stick together, but that's your call. She is very passive, apprehensive. I remember the first impression I had of her. Listen, Rian, I'm not looking for any entanglement. I'm not interested in any. Can you believe that? And I mean it. Let her feel I mean it. I'm not going to tell her about Yana or how young females lost all allure for me long ago. She looks at me, eyes wide, considering. Then she nods. How early do you want to start tomorrow? I ask, opting for a safer question. As early as possible, she instantly replies, and then there is a hardness, a resolve about her. I want to create a buffer. If the trip here has taught me anything, it's that things happen, and we can't rely on everything going smoothly. I won't go back. I have one shot at this, so if you don't like that, your problem. I'm going long and hard starting tomorrow. I'd rather be ahead of schedule than running behind. I grin at her. I like you. My plan exactly. Taking off at sunrise, breakfast half an hour before? She nods, visibly relaxing a bit. So how about going exploring now? You up for that? I push, gently. She nods, so we head off to explore the town. Rian is still reserved, very cautious and alert. I keep my observation to myself, but always position myself to being able to observe what is behind her. After some time, she starts to relax a bit. I know better than to ask. If she wants to share, it will be on her terms, in her own time. I don't need to know. I will not pry. It is not my business. I discuss with Rion my idea about splitting up the travel day into 2 parts. One very early in the morning to midday, and the second from mid-afternoon until sunset, to avoid the hottest time of the day. I tell her that I'd like to try this out, but it is not up to me alone. I show her by drawing with a stick in a sandy patch on the side of the road that there is enough time in the day to do it this way and cover the required distance, plus some extra to build up the reserve. She agrees to try it out. Returning to the elder house, we are informed dinner will be ready in about half an hour. The food we are served is typical for Kitat, we learn. It's spicy hot, tasty, and served in smaller portions. We are told this is the preferable way to eat in the area. Smaller portions, but more frequently throughout the day and evening. We are offered more samples of other varieties of the local cuisine throughout the next couple of hours. Some of the elders dine with us, and we exchange news and tales from our respective hometowns. I could get used to this food. We ask if an early breakfast would be possible, as we want to get an early start. We discuss the plan of resting during the hottest time of the day. At that, the elders chuckle and tell us that is how it's done in Kitat. So yes, we will have an early breakfast. Before we return to our rooms, we are handed 2 packages with supplies and food for several days. While we might be able to hunt, it is not guaranteed, and we don't have time to hunt all our food. The taverns along the route will be farther apart in the next section, at least until we reach the agility course. Taking adequate food is prudent. We say our goodnights and each head to our rooms. The next morning is a pleasant surprise in that Rian is actually ready as early as we agreed on. We make it to the dining room and breakfast is ready and served even before sunrise. We are very content with the breakfast. It is not only good and plentiful, but also done quickly. After not even 20 minutes, we are ready to leave to get on the road again. One could get the impression this tribe does this every morning. Then again, that is what the elders mentioned, starting early, taking a break in the midday heat, and working a bit later. The second day, while passing through some smaller shallow hills, Mount Chickadee becomes visible in the east. Rian is mesmerized as she has never seen it. I remember some snippets from the pilgrimage, but not the sight of Mount Chickadee. Even from this distance, it is impressive. We travel in the split pattern, resting during the hottest hours. While our total traveling time is comparable to what I did on the way to Kitat, our average distance traveled, our speed is improved. So we stay with this pattern. Nothing of consequence happens. The landscape barely changes after Kitat. Sure, there are sections where there is a bit more rock visible, but that is about the only change along the route. We travel and make very good progress, build up a solid reserve. We replenish our food packs every opportunity we get, and hunt small game when we can to stretch our supplies. In the week since Kitat, we've built a mutual respect, trust even, and while I'm brooding at times, wondering how Yelna and I will be, how our relationship will be moving forward, Orion broods on her own thoughts. None is asking the other, pushing the other. No expectation, just understanding without mentioning any of it. We both have something we need to mull over, and neither of us is at a point that we want or need to share. This is the longest I have been separated from Yelna since the fire festival last year, the last 15 months. On the 9th day, we make it to the agility course. Another 425 kilometers down, about 1300 to go. The agility course. It is referred to as a path, but that is misleading, grossly misleading. This is the one road that runs a loop over all of Boreas, spanning both continents and nearly all the major areas. It's the road most surface transportation happens on. It's the busiest road. It is the road. Agility cross my ass. From that point on, our journey should get easier. With the agility course being this busy and important, the supplies, taverns, and inns are plenty. The road is built for a lot of traffic, so progress should be even faster. We joined the agility course within half a day of travel to the intersection where the long agility course continues to the east and the shortcut branches off towards the south. We'll take the shortcut as it cuts right through the Smoky Mountains where our destination lies. About 2 weeks after leaving Kitat, we ask for rooms at an inn for the night. There are plenty of inns along the path for anyone traveling. There is only one room left in the inn, with one bed and no possible alternative sleeping arrangements other than one of us sleeping in our own shelter outside or continuing on, hoping to soon find another inn with better luck. I pull Rian a bit to the side. No need for anybody else to overhear this. I fix her with my eyes. I need her to listen and understand. This quiet brooding will not do from both of us. It feels too much like an unstable, precariously balanced temporary equilibrium. I'm done with these. Rian, I know for some reason that is absolutely your own, you are very apprehensive. Let me state it very clearly. I'm not interested in a physical encounter. Even if you'd like to initiate, I will decline. This is by no means a reflection of your person. I find you interesting, and you have an attractiveness about you in your very own way. But my declining is because I have someone at home. Her eyes widen and really snap to me now. No more avoiding me. I'm apprehensive because I have the impression that something is bothering you and that it is generally not a good idea to get on your bad side. I had no indication what was going on. I take it you're not going to snap on me then? She answers quietly. My face must reflect my confusion. What do you mean? Are you telling me you half expected me to attack you this whole time since we left Kitat? No, not at all. I would not have traveled with you if that were the case. I feel safe around you, looked out for even. It is more like you're giving off the impression of being in some form of distress. With most people, this is not a good time. With you, I have the feeling that double caution is in order. Now that I know why, or at least have a general sense of the reason, I can relax. and she visibly does while she is talking. This should answer your unspoken question. While I think you are at ease, your intensity scares me, so no, I will not initiate. Good. Then a single room with only one bed won't be an issue. The following morning, it is clear it was not an issue at all. As we wait to get our breakfast, another group of folks around our age joins. We come to find out that these 4 are also on their way to the Academe, are also candidates. The loudest of them acts like it is a given he is the one dictating everything and everyone. He introduces himself as Takash. All 4 are also Easterners and from an area much farther north than Shamain. I instantly dislike Takash. I don't know why. It is not only his loud attitude. No, there is something else that makes him especially unlikable. And looking at Rion, I'm not alone in this sentiment. Over breakfast, we decide to travel together, at least for now. We are all candidates, all on the way to the Academe. After breakfast is finished, we separate to get our packs and return the rooms to the innkeeper. As Rion and I had already packed and were ready to set off before breakfast, we are out in front as the first ones. Not long after, Takash shows up. He sizes up Rion, then turns to me. You got yourself some nice female there to enjoy. I mean, at least she's Easterner. Who knows what riffraff we'll need to be content with once we're in the Academe. I suppose the primary use females are good for stays the same, but the others, the males, we'll need to put in their place. We must make it clear with the leadership structure and iron discipline that the other races are mere servants to us. He then gleefully rubs his hands together. I mean, I'm looking forward to that large pool of females we can choose from to use as the mood is. I look at him, baffled, annoyed. Have I given this individual any indication I'm inclined to this way of thinking? After a moment, I shake my head and roll my eyes. Nope, not going to engage in this silly talk. How this sentiment, this way of thinking is still a thing on Boreas, I can't comprehend. It all sounds very similar to Salas. Nope, not going there. Shut it down. Rion looks at me very apprehensively. Shit. Is it that obvious what I'm thinking? I whisper. No, I couldn't tell what you're thinking, but it's clear that it is not a good thought, she whispers back, shooting sidelong glances at Takash. How this group of 4, of which 2 are females, is not at each other's throats after their long journey is beyond me. I haven't even been in this guy's vicinity an hour, and I would gladly put him into his place. After we take off for the next leg of our journey, we find out Takash's father had business in the general direction of Valdor and was traveling by carriage for most of the way. Totally by coincidence, at the time Takash needed to travel to the Academe. This is how the whole group that formed at an elder house in that area got a much simplified journey. It's not what is stated in the expectations booklet we were given, but it explains Takash's entitlement. It's how he was raised. He has no idea how to behave any differently. Should get interesting. He, or perhaps more accurately, his father, is already used to bending the rules for this journey. Should be an entertaining time once there, in the Academe. At our first break, he tries to get what is, in his opinion, already his from Rion. I sit back and let Rion handle it. Rion clearly voices that she's not open to any advances by Takash. It is obvious he is ignoring the statement, and he starts to get physical. Rion defends herself well enough, but it does not sit well with me that it is necessary. There is something odd and wrong with Takash. After a minute he saunters away, not without looking Rion up and down creepily and greedily. This won't be the last of it. Hey Rion, I think that one is going to be a problem. I'm open to bunking up together to make him think twice, I offer her, nodding at Takash. I think that's a good idea, but I don't think that this will deter him for good. This will escalate. It always does with this kind of character, she answers with a heavy sigh. Yes, that explains some of her history and the experiences she's had. I don't follow up, simply nod, and keep watching Takash. It takes us 6 more days to make it to Valdur. We are not at the pace Rihanna and I kept before meeting up with this group. It's an uphill battle to get them moving faster or farther, and we have about 2 days worth of reserve. For the time being, it's not worth a battle or picking a fight. We neither gain nor lose any of our reserve. We arrive in Valdur without any further issues, other than snide remarks from Takash that I should let him join in using Rion. For now, I simply glare him down. The farther south we get, the more moderate the climate gets. It's the equalizing effect of the anvil, the continental sea between the northern continent and the southern continent. The vegetation gets more lush, more vibrant, also more colorful. It started slowly with more and more shrubs, then the occasional tree, until we could see and passed through entire forests. They felt light, friendly, and welcoming. Valdur is one of the largest towns in the area, or on the coast of the Anvil. It is due to its relevance as a trading and transportation port, being the northern harbor of the ferry that is part of the agility course and bridges the narrow sea between Valdur and Timpoli, also adds to its importance. Narrow, of course, is a relative term. It still takes a full day to cross. The sea gap is around 150 kilometers. Only from the 2 uppermost levels on the ferry tower, right in the harbor, is the tip of the same structure on the other side in Timpoli visible. Both these towers are close to 300 meters tall. Everything else is hidden behind the horizon. Like the rest of Valdur, the tower is built out of grey stone extracted from mines along the coastal cliffs. The town is built into the cliffs, which rise around 100 meters above the sea level to a relatively flat plateau. The city is built in a section of the cliffs that looks partially naturally eroded, partially carved out of the stone. The result is a steep hill rather than a sheer cliff. The city is built on terraces in this concave gash. Approaching the settlement on the agility course, one only sees a protective wall, watchtowers, the few roofs from the houses beyond, and the ferry tower that rises high above all. This tower has been visible from far away, even before the wall and watchtowers came into view. What the wall is supposed to protect the town from is anyone's guess these days. It looks older, so it probably had a reason for existing in times past. Approaching as we do, Valdur does not look like much. Once you pass through the gates into the settlement, it becomes very quickly and obviously a different story. Most of the town, all the major houses, are in the center of the terraces, and about halfway down or up the height of the cliffs. Every single house has a gorgeous view out onto the strait. The roads follow a serpentine path half round along the form of the terraces around the gash. Then there are the harbors, 3 of them, one for leisure craft, one for cargo ships transporting goods along the coast, and one for the ferry and a small fleet of fishing vessels. All harbors are built out of the same grey stone, but the stones used to build the docks and breakwaters are massive. And then there is the ferry tower. Slender and tall, it looks like it should not be able to stand this tall. It looks elegant, it looks wrong. It's a marvel to look at. As we arrive at the ferry terminal, there are 2 more groups waiting among the passengers to cross and continue their journey to the Academe. There's a group of 5 stouts from CHRONICLE and 1 group of 5 northerners all the way from nature. For whatever reason, all of us on the way to the Academe recognize each other in an instant and gravitate to each other. Takash does not require long to make known his beliefs of being of the superior race that should rule all the other lesser races. He has the audacity to request the females of the other races attend and cater to his desires and needs during the crossing and make themselves available. It is pretty clear that won't happen by the protective stance and grouping that instantly forms around the females. Takash has the nerve to throw a snide remark my way that it is getting time for me to share my female with him. I just let loose a low growl and glare at him with full attention. While I'm deciding what to say to this entitled piece of work, Rian remarks, "Xavie, not worth it." All the others become very quiet. I can see in my peripheral vision that they also form a circle now, a closed front. Well, shit. Too much of a spectacle. I keep my eyes on Takash, but answer Rian. I know, and that is the issue. He keeps getting on my nerves with the nonsense he is spewing about, poisoning the area. He also does not understand to stop. I'm starting to lose my patience. But then, as you said, it's not worth it. It's less than 2 weeks to the Academe. There, I guess, he'll get his ass handed to him then, often. From what I can see of the others, there is nodding and agreement. So I won't get my hands dirty unless he touches anyone who does not want to be touched. This I say a bit louder and clearer, ensuring every one of the candidates gets the meaning that I include them. And he better keep his mouth shut. I take it most of us prefer the quiet. A number of murmurs of agreement, and I assume more head nodding, have Takash retreating a step, visibly subdued. I don't think this is the last of it, if the past few days are any indication. But for now, especially in this crowd, his loud and embarrassing mouth is shut. I busy myself with studying the information posters explaining the ferry between Valdor and Timpali. It seems to be a curious thing. I'm not following fully how it works. There are 2 boats that handle the typical ferry service. What makes this a desired location for a ferry crossing is the very steady and always present wind. This allows for a very consistent and predictable crossing. Makes sense. Wind supplies the energy to move the boats. If this energy is constant and predictable, the movement is predictable. The ferries themselves use guide cables. These are laid out on the seafloor in dedicated cradles to hold them. The boats feed these cables along their lengths and are basically steered by them. This allows the ferries to stay on an ideal course throughout the voyage. It also allows the ferries to mainly run overnight. The ferries, in essence, are floating inns, allowing the travelers to rest while they are ferried across the strait. I don't fully understand how the cables are fed along the length of the boat or how the propulsion works exactly. They don't use sails, but some sort of wind turbine. 4 of them. This has the advantage of making them independent from the wind direction. The rigging alone looks intimidating whether I look at the depiction or the ferry in the harbor. There are bars atop the turbines and ropes running from them to the hulls. The ferry itself is a catamaran. According to the information posters, this is for added stability in case of rougher waters. The cable is fed through a guide channel between the hulls. I guess, to understand all the mechanical and engineering details, one would need to have the aptitude to join the Mechanics Guild, and that is definitely not me. As we check in, I notice the groupings in the Academe folks start to shift. Everybody arranges for a bunkmate but Takash. He remains alone. Well, let's see how that plays out. About an hour after dinner, while most of us enjoy a picturesque sunset, Takash approaches our group and grabs Rion. "Come to my cabin and make yourself useful." "Let me go," Rion jabs at him. He points a finger at me. "Time for you to share." "Let her go," I hiss at him. "I will, once I'm done. Then you can have her back." Crack! I hit him with a left hook he did not expect. He goes limp. "Nope, I told you that you're not touching anyone who does not want to be touched." I carry him to his cabin and dump him on his bed, or across it. There is a bottle of liquor in his cabin, about a third full. I dump it over him. Now everybody can pretend he drank too much. I don't care. He'll wake up with a headache, no matter what. As we leave his cabin and return to the deck, the others also join, all of them. The Stouts, the Northerners, and the Easterners. "We saw that, thank you," one of them says. Don't thank me for something like that. I don't like violence. But I like these kinds of entitled folks even less. And I had warned him. And yet he ignored it. One punch and he was out. "How did you do that?" another asks. I surprised him. He did not see it coming and therefore he was not prepared. I deflected with a shrug. I won't admit that my rage helped propel the punch. We watch the sunset in silence. As the sun touches the water, it is like witnessing a wild, fiery death with all kinds of colors. It's a remarkable show. Once we retreat into our cabins, Rian is very quiet. I look at her in question, but she just shakes her head. The next day, after the ferry docks in Timberley, we start on our last leg of this journey. Around 565 kilometers, 11 to 12 days. We are ahead of schedule by about 2 days, so that is reassuring. Timberley is about as different as can be from Valdor. Most houses are a stone footing with a wooden superstructure. And I don't mean simple log houses, no. Every detail is masterly crafted. All wooden pieces are precisely fitted. Some of the houses have walls built from different types of wood, decolored fields painting a relief depicting different scenes of a history mere visitors are not privy to. Everything is pristine, immaculately clean. As far as I can see, the only building built completely out of stone is the ferry tower. Not even the harbor is completely built in stone. The coast is a contradiction of the northern coast. Where the northern side has a sheer cliff, the southern is mainly gently sloping rocks with bays of sandy beaches. Only a few meters away from the water, the rocks disappear under layers of soil held together by vegetation. The terrain gently rises away from the coastline on a slow, steady incline. As we start our trek through Timberley, the atmosphere in the group is relaxed, quiet, and peaceful. It takes me a moment to realize why. Takash is not with us. Looking around, it's obvious I'm not the only one noticing. But nobody says anything. Perfectly coordinated without any words. It is around 10 when we leave Timberley through its southern gate. We stocked up on provisions and a few of us needed to have some of their equipment repaired or exchanged. Most of the remainder of the journey will take us through the Sea of Grass. As the name suggests, it is large as a sea and made entirely from grass. I guess we will see what this means in a couple hours. We keep pushing after leaving Timberley, deciding for a late lunch break to cover as much ground as possible. While we can somewhat anticipate what to expect in the Sea of Grass, we also need to find our way in the Smoky Mountains. That might be another type of traveling altogether. We are all eager to build up some additional reserve, just in case. Right as we are finished with our lunch break, have cleaned up everything and are ready to continue, Takash comes jogging along. "What the fuck do you guys think you're doing, leaving me? Me and you," he rounds on me, stabbing his finger into my face. "You better apologize and make sure to pay for that by sending your female to me." "No idea what you're talking about," I quietly answer, not even looking at him. At least not obviously. I watch him nonetheless in my peripheral vision. "I don't think you do either. You reek of liquor. Looks like your drinking got out of control. You must be imagining things." Then we take off for our next leg. Nobody cares about Takash's tirade. Sounds like he got kicked out of the ferry cabin by the cleaning crew. They dumped him unceremoniously with his equipment, and he lost most of his things. He has no supplies and expects us to make up for it. Thing is, nobody cares. And there are too many of us for him to take on. We continue our journey, and after about half an hour of Takash's complaining and ranting, I tell him to shut up. And he does. There is a clear shift in the dynamics at work, and for once, Takash is clever enough to pick up on it and leave us all alone. At least for now. It takes us about 9 days to cross the Sea of Grass. It lives up to its name and then some. The grass is tall, at times about 3 meters, but never less than 2. We crest the occasional small hill that allows for glimpses across the Sea of Grass. It reaches as far as you can see. The wind creates waves in the grass, visible not by the movement of the stalks, but because the movement exposes different shades of green on the grass. The only interruption is the agility course carved into the sea and the occasional paths branching off it. What is rolling through the area is shades of green changing. It is fascinating and utterly easy to get lost here. You can't see around you when you're in the grass. There is no landmarks to navigate by, just grass stalks all around you. The only indicator of direction is the sun. We make sure not to leave the agility course. On the 9th day, we enter into the Smoky Mountains. We could see them for some time now, a hulking grey mass in the south, growing higher and more imposing by the hour. What looked first like hills, then larger hills, became mountains, then finally revealed their true nature. Hulking, menacing, massive piles of rock that look like they were spewed out of the ground and congealed right there in place. There is exactly one somewhat manageable path through these mountains, the route the agility course takes. Every other valley, every other route is a punishing, near impossible, bad idea. We have our detailed instructions and follow the agility course to the intersection indicated. There we turn off to follow a far smaller, far less traveled path. The deeper we intrude into the seclusion of this valley, the more rugged it gets. What vegetation there is sparser, more wiry and hardy. Bushes shrink and cower closer to the ground, searching for a protection that is not there. The few trees we see look like misshaped, gnarled, twisted line sketches. After another few hours, we arrive at the camp of the surface candidates. There are a couple of larger tents and yurts set up. One of the tents has one side opened, the canvas tied back to create an area protected by 3 sides and a roof. In there, a couple tables, used as desks, have some folks seated behind them. It is there we are pointed to sign in. We are asked for our names, hometown, age, clothing size, and shoe size. Then they take the letters we carry from our elders. After this is all done, we are assigned a spot to camp. They consider our request to stay in proximity together. We are asked to use our own equipment. The area has a large enough flat area to fit at least double the shelters than there are at this moment. Triple if the setup is more condensed. A thick layer of moss and here and there some grass. In all, it's a fairly well protected spot. Probably because of this, the shrubs here are much taller and denser looking than what we have seen the last half day. The shrubs and a few trees create effective windbreakers, so the air is mostly still and has a chance to warm up a few degrees compared to what it was on the path half an hour ago. There are several smaller campfires burning with a stock of wood sitting on a large cart. As we are a few days early, not much is going to happen for a while. We use the time to get to know the others that are already here or arrive in the following days. I also more closely observe the folks organizing the camp. They all wear the same attire, the same uniform, in different colors. There are different shades of brown, blues, and the occasional dark green. All wear at least one pair of karambits as well as the 3-part staff, exactly as Paxphobe did a few weeks ago, back home. Her attire was a shade of brown too, I think. The uniforms appear to be very practical and sufficiently comfortable. Nobody at all fidgets or plucks around with any of their clothes or equipment. They are all focused on their tasks, not at all distracted by a poor fit or irritating fabric. No, there is absolutely nothing like this. The camp is a representation of Boreas, all races and all kinds of different attire and equipment. It's a wild medley. The only thing at odds with being representative of Boreas is that all candidates are of the same age. There is no one who is not 20. The stories we hear are all very similar. While it was a push for everyone to make it here, it was doable. There are a few groups that had some misfortune befall them on their trip, and every single group here has fewer candidates than they set out with. It never occurred to Rian and me that one of us might not make it, or that it was a possibility for other or larger groups. It's also clear that Takash is the only character sticking out like he does not belong. The evening before transition day, there are 34 of us. I thought this was going to be the education for the guard that shall protect all of Boreas. With 30-some folks a year, that won't happen. Let's see what tomorrow brings, and then we can reassess. 19th September, 23 5th Epoch. Transition Day. I am awake long before sunrise. I stay in my bunk as I don't want to wake Rion. You can get up, I'm awake also. Something to be said about anticipation, I guess, Rion murmurs. Or about getting used to this schedule on the trip. Let's get up and see what this day brings. We get up and, to no surprise, most of the camp is stirring at this hour. 3 more arrived overnight, very exhausted and tired. While we have breakfast, we are each given an olive green backpack. We are instructed to break down our camp and sort everything into 2 piles. 1 pile for personal sentimental items and 1 for our traveling gear. The personal pile goes into the olive green backpack, the traveling gear into our old backpack or whatever we used. This is done quickly, quietly, and efficiently. Everyone here has been making and breaking camp for several weeks now. We are instructed to put all the traveling backpacks in 1 pile. The olive green are the ones we take with us. Then it is time to make our way to the transition plateau, whatever that is. There are 37 of us. Only 37. And that brings us to the end of this reading. It sure appears to be underwhelming how the guard shapes up. Only 37. Let me know how you feel about that in the comments below. If you want to explore more of this world, don't forget to subscribe to my newsletter, the Boreas Brief, at the link in the description. It's where I share all my secret projects and early updates first. Next time, in part 15, we'll see what comes next for Xavie and the Guard. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it, or click the playlist right here to catch up on any episodes you've missed. Peace.